Pattern harm, commons harm, consent under pressure, harm to future generations, private choice, public cost, compelled speech, when equal claims collide, 7 exploit surfaces, named, logged, assigned. Not one of them will be addressed today. That is not an oversight. That is the architecture working. Every broken system produces the same temptation. Skip to the fix. The problem is visible. The solution feels obvious. Start building. This series has 26 videos to produce. The temptation is real. Jump to electoral reform, judicial reform, campaign finance. The audience wants it. The topics are urgent. But a fix applied before the standard is established is not a fix. It is a preference dressed as a solution. And a preference has no test. It cannot be verified. It cannot be traced. It cannot be defended when the political winds shift. The standard comes first. Always. The America 2.0 series is built in 4 layers. Each one depends on the one above it. That dependency is not arbitrary. It is the same logic the channel applies to every system it analyzes. Layer 0, the guiding star. 1 video, already complete. The precise definition of liberty that every law, every institution, and every proposed reform must now trace back to. Without it, every subsequent video is opinion. With it, every subsequent video is analysis. Layer 1, the operating rules. The kernel, the 3 laws. The mosaic architecture, the kernel manifesto. What the system is for, before touching any specific institution. Layer 2, the self-correction function. The DSI in practice. The precision filter applied to real laws. The complexity budget demonstrated on a real domain. The alignment audit run on a real institution. The mechanism working, not described, demonstrated. Layer 3, the institutional reforms. One system at a time. The legislature, the executive, the judiciary, the administrative state, campaign finance, the electoral system, each one anchored to the layers above it. Each one traced back to the guiding star before a single reform is proposed. The audience that arrives at the electoral reform video already holding the guiding star definition, the 3 laws, and the DSI's audit tools, that audience can evaluate the reform proposal. They have the standard. They have the mechanism. They can ask the right question. Does this measurably serve liberty as precisely defined, or does this merely claim to? The audience that jumps straight to electoral reform without that foundation has only one tool available: agreement or disagreement. That is not analysis. That is a preference contest. The sequence is not housekeeping. It is the difference between those 2 outcomes. 7 exploit surfaces were named at the close of the last video. None of them will be resolved in layers 0 through 3. That is not avoidance. It is sequencing. The gray zones are hard because they require the full framework to address properly. Pattern harm requires a precision filter metric for cumulative behavior, which requires the precision filter to be demonstrated first. Harm to future generations requires a standing mechanism, which requires the DSI's architecture to be built first. Every gray zone has a dependency. Every dependency has a layer. Nothing is lost. Everything is on the map. Layer 4 is the return visit. After the framework is built, after the audience holds the tools. That is when the hard problems get the analysis they deserve, not before. This series is a living system, not a finished product. The DSI's Citizen Bug Report system applies here as much as it applies to any law. If you find a gap, a dependency that does not hold, a gray zone that was not named, a reform proposal that cannot be traced back to the guiding star, flag it. The comments section is the unofficial public exploit ledger for this series. Every gap identified is a demonstration that the architecture is working. A system that can find its own vulnerabilities is not broken. It is functioning. The standard before the application. The framework before the reform. The map before the journey. That is precision. A fix that cannot be traced to a standard is not a fix. It is a guess. This series does not guess. Build the standard first. Apply it to everything. Fix what cannot trace back to it. I am the system architect. The architecture is set. Next, the first law at the foundation of the upgrade. What it protects. What it cannot be overridden by. And why hierarchy at collision points is the only mechanism that prevents interpretation wars from collapsing the entire system.